Hey there, Coach Jason here. Today, let's talk about time management. Every single one of us has the same amount of time to work with, right? Other resources might vary, but we all have the same amount of time. So, when it comes to resources, when we're talking about business, there's three primary resources that we typically think about. There's time, there's team, and there's our money, our finances. We run out of money, we can figure out how to generate more income. We have some team turnover. We can go find other team members to come take their place. But once we've used our time, it's a non renewable resource. It's gone. This is one way to think about it, too. If someone walked by your car and saw your pocketbook or your wallet laying on the dash, and they opened up the door, checked the door, it was unlocked, opened up the door, reached in there, saw a $100 bill and took it out, put it in their pocket and walked off, would you be upset about that? Of course you would. All of us would. So what happens when someone takes an hour of your time? A meeting is supposed to be 30 minutes and it ends up being an hour and a half. Or someone calls you up to kind of derail your day with their issues or their situation, and they make it your situation to deal with, and that takes your hour. What's your time worth? If we assume that your time as a business owner at a low minimum is worth $100 an hour, how frequently do we give away that $100? How frequently and how willingly do we give away our time? We need to be, simply put, we need to be much more militant and protective of our time. So, of course, when it comes to time management, we can't manage time. We can just manage what we do inside that time, right? Time's going to move on no matter what we do. So, what we can manage is our focus and our attention. These are the two things that give us all the results in our lives. Time is the metric that we use to measure how we've invested our focus and attention. Okay? So the difference between where you are and where you want to be in your business and your relationships and your finances and your physical health and your exercise strength, where you are now versus where you want to be in any aspect of life or in business is a matter of focus and attention. And there's a third element too, environment. So the reason I bring the environment up is most of us don't do nearly strong enough job of articulating or curating our environment that will help us to maintain the focus and attention on the things that will get us to where we want to go over time, right? If you know me, you've heard me say this frequently because it's so true. What's important to us, we will be willing to build an accountability structure around that. So if you say that having stronger finances is important to you, what kind of an accountability structure have you built or are you willing to build around that so that you can hold your focus and attention consistently over time to learning and developing the skill set that will lead to a stronger financial situation in your business? What kind of an environment, what kind of an accountability structure have you built around your business or yourself as a business owner to become the owner that your business needs to get to where you want to go with your business? So that's the role that I serve as a business coach, for instance. I invest in a personal trainer. So I have said for a long time, it's important to me that my physical health and my strength and exercise regimen is important to me for my own sake, as well as the sake of my family and other people around me that care. So I've said that for a long time, but not until recently, about 3 months ago, did I build an accountability structure by hiring a trainer, and 2 or 3 times a week, he holds me accountable to my nutrition, my eating habits, my exercise habits, my exercise education, and my nutrition education. I was willing to build and invest in an accountability structure so that I get results in my physical health, right? So how serious are you about managing your time and getting different results out of life or in business? You've got to start with the environment, and that environment's got to include accountability so that you can curate, or not curate, but gather your focus and attention consistently over time, and that's what will deliver every result. So there is what's called the time target. If you're familiar with Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this concept came out of that book, and I think he uses quadrants, and we put it into a bullseye instead. So let's see how good my art is today. So if we categorize how we spend our time, okay? So out here, and what we're thinking about is urgency and level of importance. Okay? These are the 2 things that we're thinking about here. So things that are not urgent and not important, we call this distraction. And it should only account for 10% of our time. So these are things in the next ring that are not important, but they are urgent. And this is what we call delusion. And we should also limit this to 10% of our time overall. So an example of this is something I mentioned before, is when one of your team members has something that's very urgent to them and important to them, and they ask you to help them with that situation. Now it becomes urgent for you, but it's not important to you because it's their job to take care of it. So their issue has become your issue. This type of a situation, we need to limit that to 10%. And next is urgent and important. Demand should represent 60% of our work week. These are things like invoicing customers. This is taking care of payroll, all the operations, taking care of marketing. It's the day-to-day operations of your business, right? So these are things that have to get taken care of when they've got to be taken care of, and that should represent 60% of your time, okay? So the 20% that's left here, this is what we call working in the zone in the business. This would include items that are not urgent, but they're very important. So what we're doing here today, education, this is not urgent, but it is very important, because the difference between us and who we want to become, or the level of success that we want to have in business or in different aspects of our life, it's a matter of how we manage this. It's a byproduct of how we manage this, and that's why this is so important. So it's not urgent that we're here thinking about this today, but it is very important. The way I define working on the business versus working in the business is anything that you do once that pays forward in perpetuity is defined as working on the business. So developing systems, working with a mentor or a coach, any reading that you're doing, team training, You do that once and you never have to do it again. You have to hold it accountable, but you never have to do the training again with that team member, right? So we need to make sure that we are protecting this time, or else we are going to live the same year over and over and over in our business and not get the results that we're after. How do you take this and think about action steps for your time over the next week? What I'd suggest doing is a time study. So list out every 30 minutes of each workday. So if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we're going to start at 9. Every half hour, write down every single thing that you do for each of these half-hour spots through the week. And do it over 2 weeks' time, because sometimes there are anomalies or certain special circumstances in a single week, right? So let's do a 2-week time study. And after we've done that, let's use 4 colors. And I suggest getting a highlighter, but whatever you use. Let's see, what's another color here? So 4 colors. And go through your time study. Assign a color for each one of these areas on the time target. Okay? And associate which type of time is being spent for each of these time slots. Figure out the percentage of these. Figure out the percentage of these that are on your time study, and that will help you understand currently where you are spending your time, and it will help you have clarity on, hey, if this number right here is 33%, why don't I see what is one step that I can take over the next week or two to reduce that to, let's say, 25%. Take a step in the right direction. We're not going to be able to address all of this in 1 or 2 weeks. It's going to have to be one step at a time. But you cannot manage what hasn't been measured. So we've got to measure it so that we can manage it properly. Okay? I hope that's helpful. I always want to share some education and perspective and then back it up with actually some action items. I'm an action coach, business coach, so we're all about taking action. That's why the clients we work with get results so consistently. So take action. Create yourself a time study worksheet. If you want a time study worksheet, I've got those already pre-made, and I'm happy to send you an email. Send an email over your way with the PDF version of that, and you can just print it off if you want to. So let me know about that, and you can stick a note in the comments, and I'll follow up with you. But hope that's helpful. Have an awesome week, and think about how you can build accountability around your focus and attention. And over the next several months, you will start to see changes happen. I guarantee it. Talk to you soon.